Joining me to give us a deeper perspective about the history of race and vigilante violence in America is Dr. Karlos Hill. Dr. Hill, thank you so much for joining me. I gotta say,
Thank you so much for
this is
having
not
me.
new. I'm so glad you're here to kind of break this down in a historical context, because what is so frustrating to me is that none of this stuff is new, right? We are seeing repeated patterns of what America has built for us. This history of racially motivated violence. Lynch mobs is what I always think about when I see this video. Obviously, the Tulsa race riots, Emmett Till, on and on and on. We got here for a reason, and I would like for you to share with us how on earth we got here.
Well, again, thank you for having me. It's a pleasure. It's a real privilege to be here. And you're right. This is connected. Ahmaud's case is connected to a deep history, a systemic history of racial violence against Black bodies in this country. And for Black people, particularly in the lynching era, citizens' arrests for Black people meant a lynch mob, right? Specifically in Georgia. And so in Georgia, this happening in Georgia, it's shocking in 2021, but it's not surprising given Georgia's history. There were nearly 600 lynchings that occurred in Georgia. And Georgia, like most states in which lynchings occurred, have been unwilling to reckon with that history, to do anything to atone for that history. And because white Americans, not just Georgians, but white Americans in general, have continued to eschew reckoning with that history, they've also continued to find ways to condone contemporary white vigilantism against Black bodies, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so, in many ways, that's one of the key legacies of the lynching era is the ways in which white indifference to Black suffering remains. And so that's what we are today. And that's what this case has exposed, because it took how many days? 76 days after the shooting, after the killing of Ahmaud, for the police to respond. And they only respond after video evidence of his killing was released to the public. And so that helps us to understand and quantify the kinds of white indifference there is to Black suffering today, and how that's connected to the lynching era.
Yeah, no, I appreciate you talking about white indifference, right? I have to say, though, that sure, there's going to be white indifference to Black suffering. And the reality is that we have an entire policy, political, and legal landscape that has also fostered all of this and condones it and lets people get away with murder, which is why you've got these men who thought that they weren't doing anything wrong. I'll say it that way. They knew they were doing something wrong, but they thought that they were going to be able to be justified and get away with it. And I want to, I want you to speak to who is giving these vigilantes cover. What I see is that people, white people in particularly, they aren't afraid of law enforcement in the way the Black folk are afraid of run-ins with law enforcement, because oftentimes it's law enforcement that is deputizing them for citizen's arrest and giving them the cover, because you get to walk for 70-something days free. Right, when you murder somebody, because law enforcement is on your side. How has that played out historically up till now with regards to the way that police don't really police these situations?
Well, when we think about the history of lynching in this country, it's not just private citizens, private vigilantes, if you will, who killed in public Black people. You had, in many cases, police joining lynching posses. And if they didn't join lynching posses, they would often tacitly participate by not interfering. And so police and legal authorities are deeply connected to this history of lynching and racial culture. And so just to help put this in context again, in Georgia, more than 600 or nearly 600 lynchings occurred. And the state, like many other states, have not done anything to address that horrific legacy. You have also a situation where white Americans can continue to condone, right, private vigilantism against Black bodies, but also state sanctioned violence against Black bodies, as they did decades earlier during the lynching era. And so, what we have right now is a culture in this country where white vigilantism is something that is also glorified on the hard right. And it's become a key tool in their movement to make their politics mainstream politics, to win the cultural war. And we haven't talked about the Capitol quote unquote riot or insurrection, depending on your leaning, but it showed the power of sort of white vigilantism, white hard right politics, and how they're using that as an organizing tool, right, to fuel the culture war. And so in so many ways, lynching culture remains with us because we have refused to reckon with it. And there's this sense in our country that that if we just don't talk about it, somehow or another it'll go away, like a cold goes away if you just don't do anything. But this is systemic, and it's not going to go away by ignoring it. It's just
actually going to get worse.
And get worse.
Absolutely. It's festering and getting worse. And I'm thinking about how, you just said something interesting, which is that Georgia, for example, has not atoned with all of the lynchings that happen in Georgia. We as a nation have not had any racial reckoning, right, or atonement, period. But how can you even consider, and I know that you study this stuff and you think about this and you're smarter than a lot of us, right? How can you even consider having some organized effort around atonement when you have a moment now where there is an increase in extremism that is being perpetuated by Facebook, right? That spreads all the lies and the hate and the propaganda and the misinformation and all these other things. There's this growing authoritarianism here in the United States. Obviously, Trump ushered in the white nationalist and all these things. And I just wonder, as you're trying to assess where we can go and what we can do, how do you see us combating this rise in extremism and hate, especially because social media just has opened up the floodgates to even get to a place where we come together and atone?
Yeah, I mean, I think trying to think about this at the level of national politics is really difficult in terms of thinking about atonement. I tend to think about it in terms of communities. And so, having worked in Tulsa and done work around the race massacre and saw many different racial, ethnic groups, cultural organizations, political organizations come together to do something important to commemorate a really divisive history in the state of Oklahoma, that gives me hope. There are communities all across this country where that kind of work is happening with this rise of extremism happening. And so these two things are happening at the same time. And so I think it's what we end up focusing on. And for me, when we're thinking about the national level, we have to think about cases like the Capitol insurrection. What are we ultimately going to say and do about this case? Are we going to 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 years later, when ultimately we hold these individuals accountable, it'll be then that it will tell us, and other cases along the way that tell us that catch our national focus, where we are in terms of how we think about how we have tried to atone for these kinds of histories. But I can say, having done work in Tulsa and having been across this country since the centennial supporting reconciliation efforts, there's a lot of positive interest in trying to do the right thing in terms of these very, very, very polarizing history. So that gives me a tremendous amount of hope.
Well, Dr. Hill, thank you so much for bringing a little bit of hope, and I do hope we see more of the race and reconciliation processes try to take hold around this country. In the meantime, I appreciate you joining Amplified to kind of let us know how we got here. So thanks a lot.